On behalf of GMGI, welcome to the ribbon cutting of the Gloucester Biotechnology Academy's new state-of-the-art biomanufacturing learning lab. It is an amazing facility, and we thank you all for being here today to help us commemorate it this morning. I'm Chris Bolzan, GMGI's Executive Director. So many of you who are here today gathered at 417 Main Street just a few short years ago when we cut the ribbon on our landmark research lab on the harbor. It should be obvious to all of you. This is a milestone achievement, and it was accomplished in the midst of a global pandemic. While a class of students, the class of 2021, continued their training in the classroom down the hall undeterred. We are profoundly grateful. We're also incredibly excited. Today is a really big day for GMGI. Once we've tidied up from the celebration this morning,
possible for them to transition into a hot industry where people are looking for talent that come with a credential. And when we were talking to Chris earlier about this particular program, Chris said they have 70 graduates, and about and many of them were making somewhere between sort of $30,000, $35,000 when they came in and took the program, and a lot of them are making somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000 now. And most of them are from the area. And that isn't exactly the sort of thing that we're trying to do with many of these programs, because there are three things that are absolutely true in the 21st century, especially as we come out of the pandemic. The first is the life science industry has showed its mettle in very big ways over the course of the past couple of years, and Massachusetts life science companies have led the charge in many of those circumstances. Ken Turner, who's also here from the Mass Life Science Center, pointed out that there will be thousands and thousands of jobs created in the life science space over the course of the next decade. In addition to that, if you look around, there's a tremendous amount of building going on, much of which is life science companies creating lab capacity that makes it possible for them to solve the next problem that they're interested in solving. And part of that is, part of their ability to do that is the fact that the toolbox they're working with has made the cost of discovery dramatically less expensive than it used to be. And as a result, they can chase all kinds of things that once upon a time would have been really hard to solve for. And you know, there are thousands and thousands of diseases and illnesses out there that were unreachable 10 years ago based on the toolkit that was available, that people are now in a position where they can actually believe they can chase and find answers for. And organizations like this one are exactly the kind of organization that we want to fund with our workforce skills program, because it puts people who want to learn a skill and a credential together with employers who are dying to hire the folks who come out of that program. You have a terrific track record so far. It's quite clear that this one will turbocharge your activity, Chris. And on behalf of the administration, and I especially want to thank the legislature for your continued support for the Workforce Skills Capital Grant Program. That doesn't happen without the support of people like the senator and the representative. We have tremendous opportunity here to create not just great jobs, but meaningful jobs and opportunities for people to do really important work in a space where Massachusetts has already got a really big footprint, and the opportunity to grow it from here is enormous. And Mayor, of course, it's always a pleasure to be in your community here in Gloucester. And if you had told me when we seeded GMGI, what was that? Was that 4 years ago now, yeah. Lieutenant Governor? That we'd be back here with this kind of a program, I wouldn't have been surprised, let's put it that way. And I do have to say that George March and I double dated on the senior prom in Wellesley in 1975. And you don't look
Good to see you again.
And you look exactly like you did back then. Congratulations. And with that, I will turn it over to Lieutenant Governor. But mostly, I just want to say this is exactly the sort of thing we were trying to do when we created that Workforce Skills Capital Program in the first place. And it's blooming all over the Commonwealth and creating a lot of really great jobs and opportunities for companies and industries that are looking for trained talent. So this is a very special day for you, but this is very much part of a larger agenda of ours, and we look forward to building on it going forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here in Gloucester on a glorious day. I think the last time, Chris, we were physically in this space was about 18 months ago in February, just before the pandemic hit. So it's really great to be back here in person. It's never do the governor and I really need an excuse to come back to Gloucester, to be here and to be with our dear friends. I want to just thank Madam Mayor for your tenacious efforts and your leadership on behalf of this community in the Cape Ann region. Many of you think about Gloucester Seafood Fresh, Gloucester Fresh, which is a branding tool that this mayor put together, but you don't often think of Gloucester in genomes and life sciences, and so this is a great opportunity for the governor and I and our team to also share with the world what Gloucester is doing in this space. I want to thank our colleagues in the legislature. Senator Tarr and Ann Margaret Ferrante, representative, are just rock stars. They really have their ear to the ground, work hard every day. There's rarely a day that the governor and I don't hear from this wonderful group of friends. And it's always a pleasure. We mostly leave those, right? Check, that's true. It's usually in the wee hours of the morning, and we start our day together. It's terrific. And I just want to say thank you, obviously, Secretary Kennealy, and I want to thank Ken Turner from Mass Life Sciences, who are here today. Just a short time ago, our administration released the Future Work report, and in that report, they identified a number of challenges facing our Commonwealth, including skill development. They predict over 400,000 retraining transitions that people of our Commonwealth will need to make over the course of the next 8 years up to 2030. And they also anticipate about 235,000 new jobs associated with healthcare life sciences. And those are probably underestimated. And we can't just keep doing the same things we've been doing over the past 10, 20 years. We've got to do something different. That's why the GMGI program here is so important to us. And talking to Ken Turner just a few minutes ago, we want to come and say thank you to Chris and your team for starting up this model and perfecting it and sort of running through all the details needed to tweak a curriculum around biomanufacturing and perfect it and offer it up to these students. With these dollars, you'll be able to increase seats in the GMGI to up to 40. And if we can then take this model, Ken, and scale it up across our Commonwealth to other regions of our state, then we really will accelerate at the pipeline of talent that we need for this industry sector. The other thing is, many think about the Massachusetts economy, and you instantly think about higher education and the incredible academic institutions that we have across our Commonwealth. But what has changed is not only the need for degrees, associates, bachelor and beyond, but also skills. Now, skill development can come in a lot of different flavors now, but the one flavor that we're highlighting here is that you have, I think the governor said, 70 students. These students are roughly in the age of 18 to 25. About a third of them are graduating from high school and coming right into this program, and others have already started another job but are looking to find a career path that will lead them to even higher wages. And so this is an opportunity to take people right from a job without a degree beyond high school, put them into a program in 9 to 10 months, come out with a certificate, a valuable credential that is directly needed in the workforce, and these students become employed. You're batting nearly 100% placement rate for these students in this region, or even connected to the internships and programs offered in some of the institutions in Boston. So this works, which is why the governor and I are back. This works, and we need to scale it up. So that's the point of today, to say thank you for getting this started. Thank you for pushing through even a pandemic to make it work even better, and for helping our administration look at more opportunities like this throughout the state. And one more plug for the unique opportunity that we have right now with federal ARPA dollars into our state. We have about $5.4 billion to program. The governor and our team put together a proposal of about $240 million for workforce training and reskilling people in our Commonwealth. And we're working hand in hand with the legislature to see some of those dollars programmed soon so that we can see more of these kinds of programs scaled up across our Commonwealth. We can't wait. We're in the talent development business, and if Massachusetts is going to continue to compete and be that innovative economy and that life science economy that we know and love so much, we need the talent to fuel it. So congratulations. Thank you all for having us back again, and keep up your great work.
Call everyone at 2 in the morning. Money needed.
And now we'll turn it over to Secretary Mike Kennealy.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Governor, great to be with you all here today. Great to be with the mayor, the senator, the representative, our partners in government, the leadership team at GMGI, everybody. It's a special day. You know, this initiative, again, demonstrates the power of our collaborative model, the ability for the state and the city and GMGI and corporate philanthropy and private philanthropy to come together and get things done. It's a wonderful example of collaboration, so big congratulations to GMGI on today. I also want to acknowledge Ken Turner, CEO of the Mass Life Sciences Center, my partner in all things life sciences. Ken's been on the job for 8 months, 9 months, there we go. And Ken has immediately embraced our passion and focus around workforce, and the idea that we need a lot more workforce in life sciences, and we want that workforce to be a lot more diverse. And so we got a lot more to do on that one. I'm looking forward to the work ahead. You know, as we think about the innovation economy in Massachusetts generally, there's probably a few things we all would like to have happen. One is that we want to make sure we're on the cutting edge. We're always pushing the innovation, pushing the R&D. The second is we want innovation to be a statewide opportunity. We want innovation clusters and communities all around Massachusetts, not just in Boston and Cambridge. And the third is we want to make sure we get that workforce of the future. And GMGI has been such a big player in all three of those areas, really advancing the science, doing it in a way that advances this region, and creating that workforce of the future. So wonderful to celebrate this next chapter of GMGI's growth. And finally, to follow on some of the comments from the governor and the lieutenant governor on the future of work, we just wrapped up this big study on the future. And there's obviously a lot of uncertainty and a lot of scenarios contemplated about how things may play out around where people work, where people live, different industry trends. But there's a few things, no matter what the future holds, that we know we have to do. Okay, we know we have to produce a lot more housing. We know we have to support our downtowns and our small businesses. And the LG and I are going to leave here and go tour downtown Gloucester and look at some of the small companies there. We know we want to keep up our investments in the innovation economy. But also we know we need to retrain and reskill our citizens at a scale that's never been contemplated before. And it's why we're so grateful for the Workforce Skills Capital Program, $102 million so far to help build out programs like this. It's why we're grateful for the legislature for their support for the Career Technical Initiative to also boost the capacity of our vocational technical high schools and community colleges to train more students, both young people and adults. And it's why the governor, importantly, has proposed $240 million in ARPA funds to go towards workforce skills. Again, to do this work at a scale we've never been done before and make sure we've got the best, most competitive economy going forward. So congratulations to all for today. It's a great day for GMGI, for the city, for the state. Great to be here. Thank you all. Going to turn it over next to our great friend, our great colleague, Representative Ann Margaret Ferrante.
Thank you. Today's an emotional day for anybody that's from Gloucester, and I want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank Senator Tarr. Both of them and the three of us work almost interchangeably, and I think it's a model for how local officials should work together in order to get things done for their community. But the three of us do work together. The mayor does text Senator Tarr and I first, just so you know, and then the next test is right over the bridge to Beacon Hill to our partners. And
I have Ken's cell too now.
And I think, you know, for anybody who's from Gloucester, and the mayor, the senator, and I certainly are, and for anybody that cares about Gloucester, like the secretary, the lieutenant governor, and the governor do, today's an emotional day, and it's an emotional day for this reason. I was born into this community. I was born into a fishing family. And in the 1980s, when I was growing up, it was you had two choices if you came from a fishing family, or if you didn't and you were a hard worker. You could go through high school and launch off into college, or you could go through high school and then launch off into the fishing industry. And you could make the amount of money that we were just talking about, anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000 to $100,000 in the fishing industry. And then in the 90s, what we saw is we had 350 fishing vessels in this community that all of a sudden started to shrink to 250, 150. And today, if you were to look out into the harbor, it would be about 42 boats. So 350 boats that fueled a whole local economy to now 42 that provides a certain percentage, less than 50%, of where the workforce can go, and that opportunity was lost. And 12 years ago, we sat down in Joe Rose's kitchen. And Joe, I'm so glad you and Maggie are here. And John Bell, the former mayor, is here. And we said, what are we going to do about this? We can't have a community that doesn't have opportunity. And I'm a firm believer, anybody who knows me, knows the mayor, knows the senator. When you live in a community that's as hardworking as Gloucester, the one thing that you learn is that dignity, human dignity, the dignity of people to thrive, the dignity of people to exist, oftentimes comes from their ability to work and support their family. And for so long, that was what the fishing industry gave, in addition to the close-knit family and community that it provided. It's what it provided to Gloucester. And suddenly, all of us knew that with government regulations, that just wasn't going to be there in the future. And so we sat down and said, what else could Gloucester be? And it was an important meeting because it was so long ago, and it started to lay the foundation of what would come. And we sat down and we said, is there an opportunity in Gloucester for life sciences? And what does that opportunity look like? And in the wildest of all dreams, we said it looks like a couple of different things. One is it looks like the ability to enhance the research that was done in marine sciences so that we do two things. We protect the fish that we're dependent upon to harvest, but we also have a thriving fishing community that's able to exist throughout the future. And then the second part of it was there would be pharmaceutical and medicinal opportunities to attack some of the most threatening diseases and viruses that threaten the human population. And wouldn't that be special to have that located right here? And so we walked down that road, and before you know it, it was like the Pied Piper of ideas. We had Michelle May come on board, and she was able to captain the vision for this. We had Andrea come on board, who was able to look at the science and the research and how it would be done. We had John Doyle come on board, and it was so important for John from the biotech, the director of the Biotech Academy, to come on board because it just couldn't be about scientific discovery. It had to be the Pied Piper of ideas that allowed people in Gloucester who were graduating from high school, who were looking for that opportunity, to have that dignity of supporting their family. And John trained so many of those people. There was Mark Vidal from Dana-Farber that came on board to talk about the science. There was Laura Sen that came on board to help with the educational component of this program. And before you know it, we had the governor's attention and the lieutenant governor's attention. Because again, this was, I can't stress this enough, the Pied Piper of all ideas. It just worked. Secretary Kennealy talks about, you know, this vision that we could have development and innovation outside of Boston and Cambridge. This idea provided for that. And when we first said, let's have biotech in Gloucester, I think there were a couple chuckles, right? And now nobody's chuckling. Everybody's trying to get the invitation to be here this morning to see the launch of the experience. So joke's on them. So, and I know Lindsay Coolidge is here, and he's been a wonderful supporter of this endeavor personally, and making sure that we have the resources to launch the way we did. And I thank you for that, Lindsay, as a state representative and as a daughter of a fishing family. And I just want to speak in one more capacity this morning, and that's as a cancer patient. Everybody here knows that I'm in treatment for pancreatic cancer. I'll be leaving here today to go to Dana-Farber for some scans. And it's not lost on me. The governor and the lieutenant governor and I and the mayor and Senator Tarr were just talking with Chris Bolzan. It's not lost on me that we're growing the folks that are going to be working in the labs. And it could be very possible. And this is why I'm chairing the next two APA hearings. And I have my eyes on everything that the governor proposed and the lieutenant governor proposed in order to train these folks. And the reason is it's not lost on me that these are the people who are going to be working in the labs that could possibly unlock the cure for people like me. And not just in pancreatic cancer, but in diseases that range the whole spectrum. They're the ones that offer hope to us. And it doesn't matter if they're graduate of this 9-week program. It doesn't matter to me if they're a PhD from Harvard. What matters to me is they're the folks in the labs that we're fueling and we're putting there, who are the ones who are going to be able to say to somebody like me, a patient at Dana-Farber or a patient in any medical institute across the country, that they were the ones that worked on the cure for us. And that's why what we're doing here is so important. It gives dignity to the people who are looking for that job. It gives dignity to the patients that are going into Boston every day to receive their treatment for the big bad diseases that threaten all of us. And so from the bottom of my heart to Michelle May, to Chris Bolzan, to everybody here from GMGI who made today a reality, my heartfelt appreciation goes out to you to make sure that we're doing the work, we're training the students, we're bringing everything to the table, we're all in on what happens next, not only in the economy, but what happens next to the people that need it the most, literally the most vulnerable amongst us. And to the Lieutenant Governor and to the Governor and to all of my partners, Ken Turner's here from Life Sciences. He's been an all-star. He's a cancer survivor, as I am. He knows what today means. To all of you, thank you, because when you look at the most vulnerable, right, it's not always just the sick. It's those that are out of work. It's those that are fighting in their recovery, who are looking for that opportunity in the next step, you know, in the next chapter in their lives. And we're doing it on so many levels across the spectrum. Today, we're doing it, and that's the most important thing, and that's the message that I want to leave all of you with today. Thank you. And Michelle? Thank you. Michelle, I want to bring Michelle May up here. This definitely would not have been possible without Michelle's leadership. If there were any person, I know it's a team, but every team needs a captain. And if there was any person who was able to take this vision and bring it into a nuts and bolts reality, it was Michelle May. So thank you.
That was an introduction. Thank you, Anne-Marie. So as we've heard today, we're here for yet another transformative addition to the community and the region, which could not have been done without your support. In 8 short but really busy years, GMGI has contributed to the advancement of knowledge, improved the blue economy, created a new incredibly successful model for delivering vocational training, and transformed the lives of both students and their families. On behalf of GMGI's board, I'd like to thank you all for coming, but more importantly, I want to thank you for the support that you all have given us. Each of you, in your own way, has given us support, counsel, and the ability to thrive in this incredible community. This support has made its way back into the community as jobs, science innovations, and a trained workforce that are all helping to catalyze the Cape Ann economy. In her opening remarks, Chris suggested GMGI intends to make ribbon cuttings regular occurrences. Before we go out front to cut this one and pose for a massless photo, let me say that we continue to have exciting discussions about new ways we can expand our program and our impact. And I'm sure we'll be reaching out to you in the future for more celebrations as these opportunities turn into realities. So thank you so much in advance for your support, and stay tuned. But now, I'd like to bring Governor Baker back to come up to the podium for some questions from the media.
So before we do that, I don't think I've ever been at an event with either Senator Tarr or
Don't stop.
Mayor Taken where they didn't speak. So I hate to, I mean, first of all, this will be the first time in 25 years that Bruce Tarr has ever been in an event where he didn't speak, if he doesn't speak. Bruce? Senator?
Governor?
I know you have something to say. All right.
Well, thank you very much and good morning. And it certainly is a thrill to be here with so many people who are making such a difference, not only in Cape Ann, not only for the life sciences, but for the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And Charlie, it is unusual for me to see a microphone and not jump, so I appreciate that. But I want to begin, before I say anything else, in thanking my legislative colleague, Representative Ferranti, for her steadfast commitment through all kinds of personal trials and challenges to not only be here with us today, but to be leading the effort in the legislature to spend ARPA funding appropriately, and for being consistently dedicated to this community and this institution, and in the doing of that, inspiring all of us. And Margaret, thank you. So for me, today is a lot about faith. Faith that comes from a port that has so often written chapters in the history of this country. Written chapters about innovation in fishing and protein resources. Written chapters about innovation in vessels that carried us to sea and back safely. Written chapters about the processing of food so that it could go across the country safely and feed this nation. Written chapters about the radio control of vessels or organs, or right down the street, ion implant machines that travel the world so that we can have things like cell phones. But today, we think back to a time at the Roses, I believe it was their kitchen table, when a group of people had faith to write another chapter. And to write the chapter that Representative Ferranti described of going in a different direction entirely, but faith that if they did that, it would blossom to fruition. And we were blessed on Cape Ann to have so many people. I won't repeat the roster of them. Ann Margaret went through them, but so many talented people who had come from all over the world come here to make this their home and felt a responsibility to make their home prosperous. And so they wrote that chapter. They began writing. If we create it, we can create a transformational entity called GMGI. And there was faith in the people that stepped forward that said, we're going to help provide funding. There was faith that when you open the door, that students would come through that may not have had an easy path so far in life, but wanted a different one and knew they could get it here. And there was faith on the part of Charlie Baker and Karyn Polito and Mike Kennealy and now Ken Turner to say that we are going to believe in this. And there was never a time when a call went out to the Baker-Polito administration that the answer wasn't, how can we help you and how are we going to do it? And I would be lying if I didn't acknowledge that some of those calls did happen in the early hours of the morning. Anybody that knows Safathia knows that, we program our phones at 2 a.m. to ring so that we'll be awake to receive her call, because that's how dedicated and committed she is. But there's been faith every step of the way. And faith built that room right next door where students are opening their minds and their worlds to new horizons. And now faith to go in this direction, to say that we're going to begin taking the academic understanding and converting it to manufacturing things that will save and change and improve lives. It's all about faith. And in the long run, it's about faith that the students who go from there to out there, they're going to change our world. And just maybe, while they're doing it, they're going to look back and they're going to say, I changed the world because a group of people had faith. And they believed in me. And now I believe in them. And I'm going to make their lives better forever. It's all about faith and what faith we have in each other at a time when our world so desperately needs it. So, Governor, with your permission, I would like to ask Chris and Michelle to come over with Representative Ferrante and our mayor. We do have a Senate citation. Oftentimes when we make these presentations, people at GMGI shake this to see if a check will fall out. Sometimes it does.
Is today one of those times?
Oh! But so we can get this out of the way, if we can just step to the side and maybe just do a quick group photo here.
Are you worried about me?
You have the governor and Karen.
Yes.
All of us want to take a picture. He said it, don't look at me, I'm really good. You get up front, there you go.
All right, we good. We're going to look left first. Look at John Bell. Okay, now go toward the middle. And then wheel to the right. Okay, we're good. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Governor.
All right, we're going to give the mayor a pass here. I do want to say, on behalf of our administration and our team and Margaret, you're very special to everybody, and we look forward to working with you deep into the future. Okay?
Absolutely.
Questions? Well then, let's go cut a ribbon.
So will the following folks please join in front for the ribbon cutting? So it's Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Kennealy, Senator Tarr, Representative Ferrante, Mayor Romeo Taken, Chris Bolzan, Andrea Bodner, John Doyle, Laura Sen, and George Marsh.
Thank you. We do have one or two questions, that
Oh.
I'm just gonna grab. And then we can go to the ribbon cutting.
Governor, can you talk about what happened in Melrose, the school, and the COVID cluster? What do you think of what happened there?
Well, we've said many times that we're putting a lot of resources in partnership with our partners in education into a variety of supports for schools, whether it's surveillance testing we're making possible through our pooled program, or the work we've done to provide students in schools with guidance around what we would call best practices, which many schools have adopted. But as long as there are unvaccinated people in Massachusetts, there will be COVID cases. And one of the things we've done, which I expect and anticipate many schools will pursue, are back-to-school clinics. We have over 100 of them currently in place and the Lieutenant Governor and I have actually visited several of them over the course of the past few weeks. And those, we have 100 or so that are teed up to go through the month of October. But it's going to be really important for everybody who's eligible to get vaccinated that they get vaccinated, and that the schools, I believe, will continue to pursue what we describe as the best practices between now and then. But there are going to be opportunities where there will be cases. The thing I would always point out to people is when you have 5 million people at this point in time in Massachusetts who are basically vaccinated, you can't count cases anymore and assume that means hospitalizations or deaths. The vaccines work. It's been proven over and over again. But as long as we have unvaccinated people, we're going to have cases.
Are there any plans, like if this happens in any other districts, to like how the districts should deal with it?
We've given the districts a lot of guidance about how to handle cases generally, and I think our stay and test program in particular is a unique way of trying to make sure the kids have the ability to stay in school. I think many of us believe that last year was extraordinarily difficult, not so much in Gloucester because kids were in school in Gloucester. Kudos to the mayor and to everybody associated with education here. But when we opened schools up in the spring, the amount of joy that we heard from kids generally about their chance to be back in the classroom was palpable. And we're going to continue to work with people to make sure we have programs and protocols in place, as well as policies to support surveillance so that they can get the most out of in-person learning.
I think the remote learning is off the table right now. Is there any plan to like bring that back now with these new cases that the kids have to stay home quarantine?
Schools have a certain number of days baked into their calendar that they're allowed to miss. And I think our view at this point is in-person learning is where we should be and where we should stay. And anybody who isn't vaccinated, who's eligible, should get vaccinated and take advantage of these clinics that we've put up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
One last question. Coming up on the anniversary of 9/11, your thoughts?
So I think everybody remembers where they were. I certainly do, when they first heard the news about what was happening on that morning back in 2001. And for many people, including those I know and some of my family, it was profoundly important because they had family that worked in one of those towers. The past 20 years have been, I think, for everybody, a time of reflection and appreciation, especially for the first responders who ran into Lower Manhattan when everybody else was running out. And I am incredibly grateful for the fact that all over the country and here in the Commonwealth, there have been celebrations of those we lost and those who performed heroic acts throughout the course of the days after 9/11. And there will be a series of events here in the Commonwealth, big and small, over the course of the weekend to recognize all those we lost and all those who performed so magnificently during the very dark days that followed. But I think the most important thing I would say in sort of looking back on the past 20 years is vigilance is critical. It will always be critical for all of us. And, you know, see something, say something may sound kind of trite, but at the end of the day, many people, ordinary citizens, have done tremendous work over the last 20 years to prevent really bad things from happening, not just in here, but across Europe and around the world. And it's really important for everybody to continue to maintain that level of vigilance as we go forward. But this weekend is about remembering those we've lost and those who performed so dramatically in some of the darkest days in the recent past in this country, not just here in Massachusetts, but around the country. So thank you for asking.
Thanks, everyone.
Let's go.